This episode is sponsored by SKS Luxury Appliances. If you've spent time around Signature Kitchen Suite, one thing designers notice right away is the technology. The interface feels familiar and intuitive because it's the same engineering that comes from LG, the company that produces the systems used in many of the luxury vehicles people drive today. Clients recognize it instantly and know how to navigate it, but SKS is also investing in designers through their Designer Rewards program and by sponsoring IDC. If you're specifying kitchens for serious cooks, give SKS a look. Learn more at sksappliances.com. SKS, built for people who truly love cooking. Hi, I'm Laurie from Interior Design Community to the Trade, and I have Morgan Finley here. Hi, Morgan.
Hello.
So excited to have you on because you're a new designer that I recently met. I was scrolling the gram like I do, and I came across you have a great little series called Who's Going to Clean That on Instagram. And you were talking about products that are really difficult to actually clean in real life, which I was like, this girl knows what she's talking about. So I love seeing it. I love seeing interesting, fun, exciting content. And, we just talked about it, but you know that I have been working for a year on teaching designers video content at Design Edge. We do a how to create viral videos little thing that we do. And, but we're actually trying to do it more formally with a class that has kind of like a challenge where people can sign up and they're going to get scripts, but they have to commit to 2 videos a week in order to be part of our group.
Okay.
But they'll get free scripts, they'll get images, they'll get, and which of course they can make their own. I don't need you to be a robot, but you have to, I feel like, and I say this in the conference that I do, I'm like, we're waiting for someone else to save us all the time, in our industry. We're waiting for like the associations to come in or the commercial to be done where it says, this is what interior designers really do. This is what you should value them. They're so fantastic and they're going to go above and beyond for your project and they're going to make it so much better. You always should hire an interior designer. And yet we are so bad at this. As an industry, we are like so bad at telling anyone what we do. It's like beautiful picture, beautiful picture, beautiful picture. No description. No, like, this is what I did. It took 3 years. It cost them $1 million. That is the truth, but we never, ever, ever talk about it. And, it's high time we did. I think we're not setting realistic expectations. If people don't walk in and immediately know what it is you do and why they're hiring you and what you're going to bring to the table and what it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. And I understand fully that this is a custom thing and there are going to be extenuating circumstances, but generally we kind of know. We kind of know that. So I feel like we are due for like an overhaul of this industry where we're really sharing that true information. And the number one thing I always get from designers is, Laurie, I can't do that because Instagram is owned by Facebook and it's so hard. No one can get any new followers on Instagram. And I'm having Morgan on to tell you, she's a new designer. I don't know, you don't have a huge amount of following yet, but I think you will. And you're getting traction.
I will.
I came across your photo. I came across your video without having followed you and then immediately followed you, which I'm sure a lot of people did with that series. How many followers did you get with that series?
I mean, it's still compounding. So I think that's the thing that people don't realize. So I think I'm at 90,000 views, which isn't even like, it is viral technically. And I think I have like 5,000 likes or something like that. But the real engagement comes from when you get shares and saves. And those are like crazy numbers. And so I think that's what pushed it out in the algorithm. But it compounds. So can you imagine the people who get, 10,000 likes on something? You're just going to, your follower count will just keep compounding. So I think I'm probably at like 3,000 followers from that one post, which is for me is
give you
crazy
a
numbers.
healthy tip on that. You can repost that again.
Well, there we go. Okay, repost.
Repost it. I always say, like, if you have something going viral, if you wait 10 days and repost it again, it does just as well, typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of had like a why not me mentality about it because I have a friend who is a big influence. She is an influencer. She's in New York, and she works for a stroller company. And she had that mentality, right? Like, I think if we see somebody do it, then we think, who's a peer, we're like, we can do this. And now I think she's at like 130,000
Yeah.
followers, and
Yeah.
she could quit her day job. I mean, literally she could. So super helpful to surround yourself with like cheerleaders also, because when you first start posting, I think there's that phenomenon of people, being like getting the ick from you.
Yeah, which you
I've
might. I mean,
never
I'm
ex
not gonna
yeah,
lie, there are gonna be some haters out there
there
that
are haters.
I had some when I first started and
Yes.
doing, like, content for interior designers, because like, I had regular people in my life that were not interested in interior design,
Yeah,
business
yeah, yeah.
content, and they were like, "Why aren't you just talking about your family like we do?" And I got some people that, like, I'm no longer friends with, actually,
Mhm.
over those years, so fully understand that, but I love that you just owned it and you're like, "This is something I want, I'm going for it." And I think that's the number one thing I tell people is, like, just there's no one stopping you. And if you're worried about your peers or
Mhm.
you're worried about like, friends, none of them are your clients. So
Yeah, none of them are your clients, and you never know what's going to pop off. I mean, the who's cleaning that I did, I posted about a hood, so the hood resonated with people, and then I posted on Father's Day. It was like, "No one's gonna watch this, it's Father's Day." And the amount of women in my comments who take on the invisible load of managing the house, for some reason, I think Father's Day brought it out more, but they were like flooding my comments with like instant follow, finally a designer who gets us and understands us. And the inspo for the entire reel was I was watching a marble hood get installed from some stonemason, which I'm so happy that they have the work and that they're getting paid for their artistry. But I was just like, it was a fluted marble hood. And I'm like, who is cleaning that?
yeah.
And that was the genesis really
Well,
of the
I think that it's
success.
amazing. I think and that, that is I love what you just said because that's so true, right? And I have had conversations with designers about this because I'm not an interior designer. I came to this
Yeah.
industry from the printing industry
Okay.
and I was fully trying to sell wallpaper to designers and I started a community completely unaware that there was not like this sense of togetherness in this industry
Mm.
and the community took off so fast and I was just trying to help designers here and there with like like this is how you make, this is how you what SEO is. And this is,
Yeah.
because I was learning this for my own website. So I thought that was a great way to get to know designers, but then I realized, oh my gosh, they literally don't have anywhere to go to ask inform questions. And, when I was and I was involved heavily in product development for peel and stick wallpaper. And so I knew that was going to be a hot
Mm.
market and it did become a hot market, but I fell in love with designers. So I just started focusing on what would help this industry. And, now 13 years later, it's literally taken over my life. But I can
Yeah.
say in the 13 years, not much has changed in the way the general public thinks of us and what
Mm.
I think it's very intimidating. I think it's very, very intimidating. The idea of hiring an interior designer, if you've never done it, you think that they're going to sell these crazy things that you can't afford
Yeah.
and that it's going to cost too much and it's going to take too long and you're going to
Mhm.
be scared to talk to them because they're cooler than you or they're going to judge you or they're going to
Yeah.
think you have bad taste and you're just it's a scary proposition and that's why we're not getting the business we should be getting. And I love that people were seeing that in your content. Like, this is a designer I would relate to because they're thinking the way I think.
Yeah, I think something that resonated with me early on was I think he runs an account called Bloom and Plume. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's a floral designer and he talked about like not being able to afford the services that he provides and what that's like. Like I personally can't really afford to hire a designer. Like I can't really afford my own
Most designers
services.
can't. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the reality of the situation.
yeah.
Most designers could not afford to hire an interior designer.
And so it put me in this space of thinking like my clients do, and just like how accessible is interior design for the, you know, upper middle class, which also has shifted dramatically, in a post-pandemic world. It's like the hardest
It is.
designer
It
is
is.
wild out
It
there.
is really
So,
crazy out there.
yeah. So those are things that are always on my mind, and honestly, some of my most successful projects have come from people that are, refinancing their home or taking a loan out of their equity to do a renovation. Some of the worst people I've ever worked with have buckets of money, and it's about how the client values you as a creative, cuz at the end of the day you are a creative person trying to monetize your talent set. And I do think that we need to really understand, and as I grow as a designer, that's the main thing I'm trying to figure out is what is it that I do and
Yeah.
how do I assign value to that in a way that the client buys into that and isn't scared of, what their preconceived notions are about a designer, that I'm going to impose my own style. That's a big one.
Yes.
People
Yes.
think you're going to design like you like to design. And I show a lot of my own taste and what I'm into. And so I really have to like nail that. I'm like, it's not my house, it's your house. I can design for whatever,
Yeah.
as long as it's cool.
That's yeah, yeah, and you're giving advice along the way. I know there's 2 things to what you just said. First, for me, I get asked that a lot too, and what does an interior designer do? And we just polled the audience. We had 95% of designers, over 1,000 designers were polled in a 24-hour story on Instagram, and they said 95% said they do not believe the general public understands what they do. And that is 100% our own fault. We need to do better at that, right? So
Yeah.
we have to take ownership of that and fix it. But when I get asked what an interior designer does, which normally people think it's shopping and having fun, I say designers make the plan and then they make everyone stick to the plan.
Mm,
And that is what you make this beautiful plan of how this client is going to navigate their space and what their tastes are. And then, you have to force everyone else to comply to that plan
yeah.
throughout the project so that it stays as true. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't tweaks and changes along the way sometimes because
No.
of inevitable problems, but it means that the heart of that plan is still there because that's what the client needs it to be, and that you are also keeping a level of integrity to that plan.
Mm,
So if the
mhm.
tile goes in and it's slightly crooked and he doesn't want to pay attention to that, you're going to point it out and say that needs to be fixed. No.
Yep.
Or, hey, you didn't put a brace here and that tile's going to break over time. So you need to put a brace here. Or, hey, client, I know you love this fluted cabinet, but you have 4 kids. And do you really want to clean that
Clean that.
fluted cabinet? That kind of thing. Like, I just want you to understand, saturation levels, like what peak trends look like. And
Yeah.
I also want you to understand upkeep. Like, is it really going to fit your lifestyle? It doesn't feel super luxury if you're on your hands and knees scrubbing something all day. So, it's our job to educate the client
Yeah.
about the choices that they think are really cool in magazines or on Pinterest and
Mm,
what that really means to live in their home, and is it a good investment for them so that they have the ability to make this an equitable plan for their long-term success. There are places that you would want to go crazy with pattern, and there are places you're like, no, don't do that, because
no.
if you get tired of it, it's expensive to change it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think we're built-in educators all the time,
all the time.
and so it's a natural, and that is what I think my content niche, I guess, is as I'm establishing it is the talking head educator. And it's really popular on Instagram and TikTok. Like a lot of designers are doing it really well. So it's not a hard niche to put yourself into. And especially, the one thing you can learn is the background eliminator. So you can be in whatever background you want. You can be in the background of a really pretty picture and it's just your head.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
like it's really not that complicated, and I even have really well established interior designers that are my friends that I'm like doing. I do cap cut a lot and I pay for it, but I do think it's worth it. But I know a lot of successful creators who just roll with edits and TikTok, and that's what they know how to do.
I mean,
If you're
edits is
yeah,
is very easy. So,
yeah,
and
edits
so
is
is
really
Cap. I
easy.
find CapCut both and edits and
Yeah,
and and CapCut to be both pretty easy to do, like green screen,
Yeah.
teleprompters if you have to like kind of stay on point, because that's the key. Is like
Oh
sound
my
is
gosh.
good. Sound is key, right?
Sound is key.
You have to stick to the point. There's so many like people get on and they do a rambly thing, or they have weird cuts that they cut off the first word. And
Yes.
it's like you can play around with those little, trims, but you have to learn how the basics of having good sound, having good video, and having a point. Like, having a
Having a
point to what
point
you're
is the
saying.
hardest one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think you do have to be a little bit bad at something, like, before you can be good at it, like,
Yes.
so you do kind of have like, my videos get better and better every time I post. It's just like exercising a muscle, so you do need to just take the plunge and force yourself to do it. And then it allows me, because, like you said, design is a collaboration with the client, the contractor, and all of these people. So, a lot of times when you see a design finished, like, especially if there's something that people are critical about or they don't like, I'm always like, well, I doubt that was the designer's
Yeah,
choice. I think that was
exactly,
client led.
exactly. The designer
Yeah.
wasn't the one who wanted the velvet painting of the eagle over the fireplace, let me tell you.
No.
Like
Or like the beer tap in
Yeah,
the
no.
beautiful, like, quartzite, yeah. So, like, but content is a way to show what I actually believe, right?
Yeah,
And to
yeah.
create my identity. And so it is that outlet that the more you do it, you love it more, because you get to say the things that you don't get to say just through photographs. Or and designers got away along for a long time. Everyone on Instagram did, with like just this amazing image, and that was all you needed. So I
Some of those
think I
projects
get
are 3 years, like, for 15, 20 photos. Like, that is not manageable to have content streaming in at the level that Instagram or TikTok would want you to. So you have to, and the other
yeah.
factor is it's not telling anything about what you actually did in those 3 years. Like, the photo is beautiful, don't get me wrong. You just had
Mm,
someone come in and they styled it and it's gorgeous, but it's not telling. You're looking at it. I always think of it like an actor who's watching a movie. Like, if you were just in that movie, you're not thinking about the plot. You're thinking about the day you filmed that scene and what
yeah.
was going on and what you ate for lunch and what
Yeah.
happened. You had an argument with a cast
Yeah.
member. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
And that's the same when you look at your photographs. Like, you're like, oh gosh, that refrigerator was a nightmare. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
I had to return it 3 times and
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
that kind of thing. And that's the stuff we never talk about, because I think we're afraid ourselves that it's going to scare people and that they're not going to want to hire us if we tell them that this wasn't super easy to do. And I don't believe that. I think it's the opposite. I think it teaches people they don't want that job.
100%. And I think, like, I even had the irony of, like, through the video I got a really good lead, of a guy talking about, a couple, and he had HGTV renovate his bathroom. He is in LA, and he was saying all the things they did for camera, right? And it's totally not a functional bathroom, and it doesn't work for him at all. So it's just like, people get, if you let HGTV tell people what a designer does, they're going to be disappointed every time with the timelines alone to
Yeah.
create a
Yeah.
project and then execute it successfully are so long. And so yeah, that's
Pricing
why,
too. Like, pricing has
my
changed.
gosh,
Even post COVID, pricing has changed
post COVID.
so much that a person who did a project even before, let's just say you have experience with designer and you know what things
Yes.
cost. Guess
Yes.
what? I hate to tell you, you don't anymore, because things have totally changed since COVID and the supply chain issues that have happened. Fuel charges are more, tariffs,
Mhm.
product prices have gone up, scarcity of materials. Like, no, you're talking sometimes literally it's double,
Well, absolutely.
yeah.
I think 90% of my job is telling people what things cost,
And they're like,
and just, like, getting through the bidding process, I'm like,
yeah,
and getting them to accept. So, I mean, we really are, therapists, marriage counselors, all those things rolled into, and then running our own businesses at
yeah,
the same
yeah.
time.
And I feel like video is your opportunity. If I had 100 of you out there trying to talk about real things,
Yeah.
I just think like what a value that would be to our entire industry if people knew ahead of time, like, and already were prepared and primed to understand what their, what addresses their fears, frustrations, and desires on when they're thinking about this big investment for themselves. I wish that I feel like we really have the power in our hands with video to
Yeah.
change this entire industry and to educate the public about what it is designers do, how much it costs, how long it takes, what it requires of them, and why they should spend it, because I believe really truly it's the best money you can spend. I really think on a home
Yeah. And
project, if you can afford it, you will literally get that money back because they will be your advocate.
it's our client's biggest asset sometimes. So
Yeah.
like that's what all their money is in, is their home.
Yeah.
I completely agree with all of that.
Because if you did buy that house without a designer and it isn't functioning for you, and you've already spent the money on the things that didn't function for you, did you save anything? Did
Yeah.
you save any money? If I'm sure that person who did the bathroom with HGTV was like, yes, I'm going to probably only have to pay for a few materials. They're going to get things kicked in. I'm going to be saving so much money. I get the design for
Money. Yeah.
free. But if you're redoing it in a short period of time because it's literally not functional for you, and it was beautiful on video, which I will say, I hate to say this, but the same thing for sometimes online design influencers. Like you're looking at it, but the rocks might be plastic. The faux rock wall or the whatever, the stone you're looking at could be painted. Like you don't really know what you're looking at, sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's not the same thing as somebody who's trying to sell something that is actually has integrity and actually lasts and actually is functional. And that's the
And
tricky
yeah,
part.
to that point too, like authenticity is something that is really important to audiences. And I think it will come across if you are not authentic on camera. And I kind of went through this identity crisis when I first started. Because, first of all, filming yourself, you get to see what you actually look like, and that's a little tough. But we all follow aspirational people and people that we think we're like, but there's nothing that will dispel that for you quicker than filming yourself and watching yourself. So I kind of had like a come to Jesus moment where I had to decide either you're going to try and be this aspirational designer, which I am aspirational for some people, I think, or you can be relatable and you can be accessible. And that is the lane I decided to go down while still keeping it cute and cool and trying to we are a visual industry after all,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I decided I wanted to become relatable because and I think some designers are really afraid of like breaking that fourth wall and becoming relatable because they think it ruins the mystique of whatever an interior designer is supposed to be. But to your point, you said it beautifully. You're doing a disservice to your clientele or future clientele who don't know what you do, and then maybe devalue it
Yes.
because you've created this, Wizard of Oz kind of effect
Yeah.
behind your photos. So,
Right.
yeah, I
I
definitely
think
had
they're
to like
always
that.
afraid, and the relatable factor about, am I going to turn down that client that has this huge budget that I really, really want? I really want
Mhm.
creative freedom and work. Like every designer I know, the ultimate goal
Yeah.
is like a billionaire who is like, just go make it gorgeous. You know what I mean? Like that's like, here's the keys, go for it. No, money's no object,
The
like
dream.
that's the dream, right? But I feel like, this industry, it's so vast and so many
Yes.
price points. And,
Yes.
knowing where you are in it and what is reasonable to you and where it goes. Like, I have a friend who's got some following on Instagram, Laurie Laizure, and I've been on Instagram for a long
Yes, same.
time, and so I saw Laurie's account grow, just like my account. Like we were side by side watching each other grow for years, and Lori is very honest. I like her a lot in that she'll say, like, I started out with like literally putting up flyers in my neighborhood doing $35 color consults.
I saw her
And
say
it's
that. It
true.
was
She
so good to
did.
hear.
You
Like,
know,
as a new designer, I was like, I locked onto that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the truth. I mean, she shows her old work and, she can laugh at it now. It's just like anybody else who looks at old work of theirs 10, 15, 20 years ago. And,
Yeah.
we all say we do timeless design, but,
We
we have the
try.
skill set we have at that moment,
We do.
and we grow as people and we get better and this, you never stop learning in this industry if you're going to be successful. And so
No.
I definitely see where you're thinking that, because it's so, so, so important for designers to recognize, like, you have the power to say, look, I take on full service remodels, but sometimes when I have a little bit extra time, I do small like rooms here and there for past clients.
Yep.
Like every designer I know who, if even is at the top of their game, does that. Like they have a client that they did their whole house, and then maybe they come back and they want the bathroom done, or they need a new kitchen,
Yeah.
or they
At
need a
least, yeah.
bedroom refresh because their kids got a little older and they want to do a big girl bed. You know what I mean? Like whatever that might be. That's the reality of almost every designer. Even your top of the line designers have onesie two. They don't just only do full service
Yeah,
design.
and we had clients who, like, believed in us in the beginning and let
Yeah.
us take on their projects, and so when they come back to you, you wanna honor those people. Early on, I thought I had to have one set price for everything I did, and thankfully, again, I just had a friend who's a awesome marketing company, and she was like, "Why do you have to do that?" She's
Yeah.
like, "You can charge the annoying clients, like, way more, and then you can
Well, because they
offer."
are going to take more time. It's not just that they're annoying, they're literally costing more time. So they are going to be
Yes,
more expensive, period. I mean, you're
exactly.
building it out based on, and somebody you've worked with before also might take less time, probably does take less time because you
You've
already
already
know.
established,
Yeah.
yeah, you have that relationship, and so much of the client and
And the
designer,
history, it's like you're not
you're
reinventing
in
it.
a relationship whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. It
Seriously.
is a relationship. You see them at your best and your worst, and, like, that was another thing I said to this friend. I said, "I wanna only take on new people. I don't wanna take on friends and family anymore because that's not legit." And she was like, "Why wouldn't you want friends and family? Like, that is a relationship where you've earned their trust already. They trust you. They're coming in trusting you." And something about that felt less real to me, and then all these years later, like, those are some of the best projects ever. But yeah, you see people in a whole different light when you're doing a
Sure.
renovation with them, and you
Sure.
walk them through some of the harder moments.
Yeah, and you have to have a
Yeah.
lot of patience and grace, and they do too. And it could get sticky for minutes, like it, and you have to regulate your emotions. They have to regulate their emotions. It's a really complicated thing. I do want to bring it back to one other point you made that I think is really, really important to video content, in that you let go of like how you saw yourself in video. And I think that is a huge, huge, huge problem in our industry, because we want to be like, look at
Yeah.
my hair's a mess right now. This
I thought it
is,
looked
by the
really
way,
cute.
this, like, I will just show you, like, it's not real,
I have a
right?
ring light.
Like, I have lights around me. Like, this is, we've got to be able to say to each other, there's some degree, like, you've got to let go of it. You've got to let go of, like, the need to be perfect all the time, the need for other
Yeah.
people to see you perfect. Personally, I think it's super charming to see someone. I remember one of the first designers that I followed years ago that I was like, oh, I just love how authentic she was, is Abigail Ahern in
Yeah.
the UK. And she's got like her wild hair, and she's like in her little shop and talking about her plants and her dogs, and she's
Yes,
walking
yes.
through in her baggy jeans and her t-shirt that has stains on it. Like, she's just like so herself,
She is.
and so cool. And if she's willing to do that, and she has this huge brand, then why aren't we able to do that? Why aren't we able to,
Confidence is
like,
cool.
do you not like
Yeah.
and now I have to say to myself, do you not like yourself? Do you not think that you're worthy, just as who you are? Do you not think you're bringing something to the table? And sometimes it's that those questions you have to ask yourself, like when
Yeah.
that's there, and that's like, you're worried. And a lot of times too, I will say, because I've had these deep, deep conversations with designers through the years, it's like they're also worried about other designers judging them.
Mm,
Like other designers are going to put me down or make me feel bad about myself or make fun of me
yeah.
and I'm just like, we have problems, man. We have problems. We cannot be doing that to each other. Like when I
No.
work with other industries, if I'm like prior to this, I worked with artists and artists are so good to each other. They like literally cheer each
Mm,
other on all day long.
I love that.
Photographers are so good. They're like a gang.
They are.
They're like a gang. Like literally, anytime I have a problem with something like copyright law, the issues, they go after me hard together. So why is it that, I'll put out like this designer is doing something really cool and it's crickets. And every other industry is
Yeah,
so supportive of each other. And I just can't unlock why, because other industries are also women dominated. Other industries are also, creative industries. And I just don't understand. I feel like we do need to do some internal work here with ourselves because
definitely.
we have to recognize we are not in competition with each other. We are
Mm,
in competition with people who like would rather not hire a designer. That's it.
yeah, absolutely.
That's the competition. People who are like, I can just go to Restoration Hardware and buy everything myself because they don't know
Yeah.
any better of what
No.
would be how much better it would look. I was just on a phone call with a designer and I was like, the thing I say is like there are Ashley furniture trucks driving up to $5 million houses all day long. Like that
All
is a
day
real
long.
thing, you know? And that's because they don't know
Yeah.
any different. They don't know what they're going to get when they get a designer. And that's on us. We need to do better. Yeah.
Yeah, I just never really played with people who don't support me. I kind of just walk away from that. And to be honest, like in the design space, like I have a group of designers who are supportive, but I do so much like secondhand content too. There's a bunch of women, like the thrifter, antiquer, secondhand reseller community is like super supportive. Um,
Yeah. They're great.
they're great, and so that is kind of who I pal around with, but yeah, you and if you're around people like that, then get away from them as quickly as possible, and it's not the kind of clients you wanna attract, that if you're having to put on an act, eventually the real you will come out when the
Yeah, and
bathtub
honestly,
drains in the
those
wrong place
those
or whatever.
designers are not your client. So
Yeah, I mean,
they can
that's
make
really
fun
the
all
most
they
important
want
point.
if and you'll be laughing your way to the bank. Like honestly, this does generate projects. Like you just said, you
Absolutely.
got a project from this already.
I got a
And
couple really good leads, and it's wild to me. They're good quality. Like,
well,
of
that's
course, you get a
another thing
few.
that I hear over and over is that you can't get a client. I posted for years and I don't get any clients from it. And I'm like, you're not posting good content. You're posting content that only goes out to your own friends that are mostly designers. And you're not posting to your person who is looking for answers. That's the content that you need to put. Your pretty
Yeah,
picture of your last project is going to be to the client, maybe a few of your design friends, your best friend from high school. They
and I
might
don't know
see
if this
that.
is applicable too, but, like, I post like, I tag my contractors, I tag my cabinet guy, and I've been a big cheerleader of him also getting his work out there. We just finished a kitchen. He took all the video and I made a reel out of it really quick and sent it out there. And now he's referring to me on jobs with really high-end clients. And so, like, your subcontractors can bring you into the loop too if you're willing to kind of push them to promote. I mean, everybody wins. We all win.
Everybody. And I even say that about the things that are in your ecosystem. I've said this for years too. Like think about where is my client spending time in
Mhm.
my area? Like I'm servicing. I mean, the internet is big and we think of it as a big place, but
Yeah.
the local clients you're trying to get,
Yeah.
there's a lot of local content. Like we're talking about 4th of July. There could be like, these are the restaurants I'd go to have like,
Yeah.
these are the boutiques I'd go to get your cute little outfit, red, white, and blue. Here's where I'd go for the perfect picnic. Here's what I do for
Mm.
their fireworks. Here's where I'd go if I wanted a staycation. It's summer. Where would I take my kids on a staycation?
Yeah.
It's close by within an hour or two driving. Which hotels would I want to go to? Where do I want to go by the ocean? Or, this is content your clients would want to hear, but it also links your client, your firm to businesses that also service as particular clientele. Like if you're linking the boutiques downtown, the
Yes.
cheese shop, the wine shop, the golf course, the cool, like, new trendy restaurant,
Yeah.
you're linking to the same businesses that also service the same group of people, and they're likely to share it. They're likely to interact with you. They're likely to talk about you. They're likely to refer people to you because you did something nice for them.
Yeah, I mean, I recently had the experience, like, I'm in Prescott right now. I'm at my parents' house, which I designed, and,
Yay.
yes, yay, and so downtown, there's really good secondhand shopping and then, like, very curated shop, and I was in this place called the Marketplace at Cortez Marketplace? Yeah, the Marketplace, and she owns a ton of shops down there, and the woman at the register, we were buying stuff, of course, and she was like, "I love you, thank you for sharing us, da da da," and my mom was like, "You are famous." It's like I'm like, "Well, I'm promoting their business for free, mom, so that's why they like me so much." But, I mean, who knows what will come of that, but there are enough likes for all of us, like,
Yeah.
I
I
mean, and
mean,
where else can you have that reach? Even if I get 4,000 views on a reel or something like that, where else are 4,000 people seeing your face, getting to know your brand? And
yes.
even if they listen to you for 30 seconds, like, you're in the ether of their mind, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and if it's consistent and you're doing that for
Mhm.
a consistent time, it compounds. Like, you're just
Oh
like
my
you said,
gosh,
it's
yeah.
just growing, and maybe you're talking about this type of content and, and it's like, if I was talking about, here are some great restaurants to take dads on Father's Day, and
Mhm.
you're like, here, I'd take him to this steakhouse and this golf course and this, that's a group of businesses, but here's where I'd take my mom on Mother's Day, and this brunch spot and this, like, spa and this, and that's five businesses. And here's where I would, these are the cutest little areas, these are the best artists in my area.
Yeah.
I love these artists, and these are the best, shops to get thrifting. Here's my best Facebook market finds that are in, Prescott, Arizona. Like, there's endless content ideas, like, literally
So
endless,
much.
so much, and it's all works for you. It's all, I mean, this is,
Yeah.
we could be in an industry selling, like, tubing or something. Like, there are a lot harder industries to create content around and to
Yeah.
be interesting than home. People love homes. They love, like, style and design. And
Oh, absolutely.
so, that's why everyone you ever talk to, when you say you're an interior designer, is like, "Oh my God, that's so fun." And you're like,
Yeah.
but that's a huge advantage. That's a huge, huge advantage that so
Yes.
many people think it's fun, and that means that they want this content. They're dying and desperate for this content. Especially, I think, in your mind, like, an interior designer has this, like, instant, I'm not saying it's a huge amount of authority, but a little bit of authority in, like,
Yeah, for
style and
sure.
design. And, like, I would automatically, if somebody said, "I'm an interior designer and this is what I think is good," I'm listening, and
Yes.
even before I get into this industry, I would be saying, "I'm listening to that," because they're the expert in that, versus, I'm a waitress and here's some beautiful interior design tips that I can give you. I'd be like, okay, who cares? you know? So
Yeah.
it's like you're getting secret information that you'd have to normally pay a lot of money for.
Yeah, I, like, keep my DMs open, I let people ask me questions, and I'm trying to be, like, really just open and good with responding because I think it will pay off, like, in the end, and it's already paid off. So if you can create that relatable, approachable image because, I mean, again, like I said, there's plenty of designers I follow aspirationally who I would be terrified to talk to in real life, and great for them that they have maybe this very exclusive clientele that they work with,
Can I just tell you
but
something that's a secret that about some
yes.
of that is that it's been a long-term secret that a lot of the
Okay.
high-end influencer designers that have been out
Mm,
there and have huge, like,
yes.
million followers, sometimes their design is not theirs. Sometimes they're in an Airbnb. No lie. I'm just gonna tell you that. That's the truth. Sometimes they're not in.
They have to be. I mean, and that's like I was afraid to shoot in my own house, and then I saw another designer who's been featured in Architectural Digest. She's so great. Can't remember her name, of course, but she was like, "I'm gonna show you my kitchen," and it was not a great kitchen, and she was like, "I'm replacing the handles. Look what a difference it made," and I was like, "Okay, you have got to get over it," and post your like, because I'm in a builder grade house like that, like the rest of America, that I bought in the middle of the pandemic, and I'm doing what I can to make it look cool and interesting, but it is what it is at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
she but that's like the more that we do, and people loved it. So the
Yeah.
more that we keep it real, it allows other designers to be inspired to do the same.
And people can be less intimidated that we're not going to be always pushing this
No,
expensive
yeah,
solution to every single thing. Sometimes it's not about an expensive solution. Sometimes it's just about a smart solution. A lot of times the thing that designers bring to the table is how you navigate the space. And that's free. It's just like we want to know like really essentially like where are you going to be, like if the table is centered in the room and you've got a rug, if you pull out the chair, does it stay on the rug, does it come off the rug? You want it to be big enough so it stays on the rug, so that you're not feeling like, oh, I have to lift it up over the edge of the rug all the time. So it's like we're thinking so much about the space planning
yep,
that it's a lot of that is free. It's just like how you lay it out, but it's also we don't articulate that back to the client. So sometimes it's these little things that we can
yeah.
tell. Made a list probably 2 years ago that was 100 fears, 100 frustrations, and 100 desires of an interior design client. And I keep thinking like that would be the basis of content for well over a year for anybody, because you could take
Yeah,
every
can I
fear.
have those lists?
Yes, I can send those to you. I have it.
I
It's
would
like
just
a
be like, yeah,
yeah, because you can take it and you can go, this is the fear. This is what I would do. This is why that's not, you don't need to be worried about that. That's why you hired me to think about that. So this is what I would, your fear is that I'm going to make this style, it all about me. Let me tell you, these are the things I do to make sure that it's not about me and that it is what you want.
yeah.
Here's
And
5 things I'm going to do.
once you get people asking you questions too, like people ask you questions all the time. Please, can you talk about this? Like someone wants me to talk about mixing wood tones in
Yeah.
their home with
Yeah.
cabinets. And then that's a real, like,
Because it's true.
I've,
Like you
yeah,
might have gotten into your builder grade house and you're like, I don't want to rip the cabinets out. I mean, they're not that old. They're pretty much new. Like, why would I want to rip the cabinet even though I don't like the particular I'll just tell you, I had the same problem in my house. Because I like have these like, that reddish color, like orangey
yeah,
color wood,
yeah.
but they were custom cabinets and they were newer. Like I think when I got here, they were maybe only like a few years. The client was older, so they picked like the cathedral top that is like kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
annoyingly old fashioned, but that's what they liked and they were brand new. So am I going to rip these cabinets that are custom cabinets out to
No.
put new cabinets in, even though I don't really like the color that much? This goes totally against my principles of like, not eco-friendly, not the right thing to do for the environment, as well as like it's ridiculously stupid for money. But in it has like a little darker brown in the stain, like there's parts of it. And so
Yeah.
I found a gorgeous handle that has a darker brown with stainless on the top and bottom, and it like completely pulls out that darker brown in the wood that makes me hate it less. And then we had Formica countertop. She went with a green Formica countertop that had a
Oh,
wood, like edging to it and trim. And so we pulled that out and we put in quartzite that is light colored, which made it feel so much lighter in the whole room.
yeah.
So, and of course, my friend Rose Dostal, who's an interior designer, helped us with like a lot of our selections. And, that's practical. There are things you can do that are practical solutions, but that's a lot of times those are things that designers will do with their clients too, even high-end clients, where they're like,
Oh,
do I
yeah.
have to get rid of that? I have a friend, Shannon Gem, who's amazing. You would love her. She does a lot of vintage too. And she went to a client and they had bought this house and it had gorgeous countertops. They were stone,
Yeah.
but the stone was green and
Ooh, that's
it
tough.
was shiny. And so she had someone come in and hone it, and it like completely it's so much cooler now that it's honed.
Honed.
And she didn't replace them. She just had it honed. And, even wealthy clients don't necessarily want to spend. And this was Orange County. She's in Orange County,
Yeah.
in a multi-million-dollar oceanfront houses, in Malibu. She lives in Malibu Lake. So
Yeah.
that's true for every designer, that not every designer is walking into a client's home where they're doing a
and tearing
renovation
it.
or a whole home build where they're literally ripping everything out or starting from scratch. It's just not the reality of what we deal with. So I love
Definitely
it that
not.
you're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's sustainable, and sustainability is just something that's naturally been important to me because, we moved to Arizona. We moved from a custom home in Ohio and to this builder grade home in this era of Arizona that was like spa, cold, organic. And I think clients relate to this. Like, I have my grandfather's oil painting, and I'm like, how do I make this work? Like, how do I make this all vibe? And it was really abandoning the fact that really leaning into the fact that trends date your home and that finding your personal style, like, and adding character that is timeless as we can make it is what makes a home feel
Or
interesting.
meaningful too to you
So
personally.
meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, we were just talking about this like new wallpaper that came out with, it's called Demence, and Left Bank Art has it, and they're great. And it's texture on demand, which is really kind of neat. Like it's the first wallpaper out there that they can print texture. So like think of it
Oh,
as like trees and that you can feel the bark and the leaf and you can feel the leaf.
so cool.
So neat. But we were discussing how like that texture is so important to designers in that role. But it's like with wallpaper, we all remember like when you see a particular wallpaper that we've seen 100 times, and
Yeah.
that there gets to be this saturation level where you're sick of it. You've like, okay, I've seen it like 100 times now. And now it's not as cool as it used to be because literally everyone's seen it. And I think that that's when clients feel like they got bamboozled because it's like
A
now
hundred percent.
I feel like this didn't have longevity for us. Now it was so expensive to do it. Now it feels dated because it's already had that peak saturation level of, everyone seeing it. But I think like that's what designers bring to the table is coming in and saying, well, here, you love this, but do this, and this might be more meaningful to you. It's not going to be dated. So Shannon actually had a project where she is working with that product, and the client has this home in Japan, and that they love. It's like a really old, amazing. It's going to get big press because it's this old, amazing house in Japan that's like ancient, and it's a work of art. It's like an actual work of art,
Yeah.
and they took photographs of the home and they made a toile with it. And then it's like this 3D wallpaper that it has like
So cool.
it's the coolest. I've already seen like a little scout shots of like what's going
Yeah.
on, and it's going to be unbelievable. But that's the kind of thing that a designer's bringing to the table, even at the high end, is like, we can do these. You love toile or you
Yeah.
love that. Let's do this. That's 20 times more meaningful to you. And you're not going to see it online. You're not going to get sick of it. It's going to be amazing always. And Morgan, you're just amazing. I just think you get it. I
I
wish
love
everyone
it
thought
here.
the way you do. I'm like, please spread this out to the people because it could be so amazing if we got more and more and more designers. Just think about what it could look like. Just imagine for a minute what it could look like if even 100 of us did this
Yeah.
for a year, and like how many people would hear that designers are not, just trying to upsell you, are not, that our goal isn't to shop all day. Our goal is actually to save you money and to like help you live in a home that you
Absolutely.
love. Like our goal is to make sure it's good and that the plan is followed. We advocate for you all across the board. We work with the trades to come up with great solutions. Like it's a team. And
We just have so many skill sets that you just described. So why can't we apply that to the way we interact with each other? And I think it's like so fear based. Like,
it
what
is,
really
but it's
at
all in
this
your
point,
heads.
what
I've
are you
seen
afraid of?
exactly, exactly. I've been in Airbnbs with designers because all the trade shows, I always rent a house and they always stay with me. A bunch of
Oh,
designers stay with
cool.
me. I just kind of like, I rent it and then whoever wants to stay with me stays with me. And I have watched it numerous times because I've been in a million different Airbnbs with designers, and they're like, you all have opinions. They're like, that was wrong. This is wrong. That was hung incorrectly. Oh my gosh, they did this. And I'm like, you have an opinion. Why don't you just say it on a video? Like, just say it.
We
It's
love to critique an Airbnb.
Who
It's
doesn't?
in our
I mean, that's
DNA.
like a
Like,
favorite
that could
hobby
literally
now.
be your whole, like, shtick, yeah. And I think niching down too is important, and that's something I've done. Like, I do think it takes you maybe a little bit longer, like, to build an audience, but it'll be a really high quality audience that likes you as a person. And I do think something that everybody needs to do in your videos is the why me statement, right? Like, why do you want to follow me? And so I do try to do that as much as I can. And I did that in that Who's Cleaning That video. I said, like, I'm the interior designer for someone who has a cleaning person once a month or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but just like, well, who are you? And why should people follow you? You need to say that in your video. But this all is related to like seeing yourself on camera, owning who you are. So I think it makes you a better person. Like, who knew social media could make you a better? But if you are being creative on social media versus consuming it, I will say a whole other ball game for your brain. Like, it is really valuable. I speak better. Get dressed more in the
Yes,
morning
right?
because I
Yes.
got to show up.
You
Like,
gotta show up and
so
you have to have a little something on.
something,
Skincare
something.
matters.
Yeah, after 40, you're like, I gotta
I gotta
like
like
just something.
yeah, yeah. The other thing I think is a really good is, and I've seen we did it years ago, but I think of other people, maybe a year ago, but other people should consider is renovate. Think about like the very first thing. If you're starting to think like right now, okay, this was such a great podcast with Morgan. She's doing it. I'm going to go follow her and see what she's doing. But I want to figure out what are the first things I can do for me? Start with your bio and 3 videos. I want you to do one that
Mm,
is like introducing you to our audience. I want you to
yeah,
pin it. Then I did want you to do
yeah,
one
love that.
that is like about your company. Like, what is your company? Who is your ideal client? What is that person? Like, what do you think your company philosophy is about? Like this is about my company. I actually just put a logo picture up there. I did a solid picture of myself with a big caption. I did a logo with a big caption. And then the third one could be literally a slideshow of projects. It
Hmm.
could be, a carousel of projects. It could be meet the team. It could be, testimonials. Ours is testimonials. We ask, like, we just kept that pin and
Testimonials are great. Yeah,
yeah, pin that up to the top. And that's like your website for you. And then make sure your
it is.
bio has, please, for the love of God, have the name of you, the name, where you are located, and how they can get a hold of you in your bio.
Yes,
Like easily,
yes.
easily. Don't make it hard for them to find
Don't
out
make it hard.
I'm an interior designer. I live in Arizona,
Yes,
and here's my email. Like, why is that not done? I don't know. But those are the things I would start with right there, because
totally.
make it easy for people to do. And then if you want to come to Interior Design Community, we're going to have this video challenge thing that we're doing that hopefully we're going to be supplying scripts, supplying images for free that hopefully you can utilize some of it and start and maybe get some clients like Morgan's getting. So
Yes, I would
yeah,
highly encourage you. And what is the harm? Like, and it will start you.
yeah.
First, yeah, the scripts will get you going. And then you'll figure out what you want to say
Yeah, and
and
you
what
can
your
learn from
audience
there.
responds to.
Yeah, what does your audience like? And even if like I saw 2 designers having the exact same script,
Yeah.
completely different markets,
Who
completely
cares?
different people are gonna be fed
Yeah.
that, completely different, like no one's gonna, and even if they do, be like, yeah, I'm part of a challenge. We're doing this challenge so that if it looks the same, it's because we both got the challenge. So we're just trying to
And there's
we're
that
trying to
kind of
learn
stuff
content.
all the time.
Yeah,
Like, social media has that everybody's copying trends all the time. So it's not gonna
absolutely.
be nobody cares. And the
Nobody
likelihood,
cares
honestly,
as much as
they'll
you
see
do.
both of you. Yeah, no one they probably won't see both of you.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I love it. I love that you jumped in. I think that it's so exciting to see. And I can't wait to see where you're going to go. I mean, I guarantee you in a year, 2 years from now, I'll be like, "Ah, I knew it. I knew she was going to do big things. I saw it. I have a talent for that. I swear. I'm like, I always can spot the people that are like, they're going to do something interesting. I think
Your
that's
mouth
me.
to
Yeah. You
God's
heard it here
ears.
now. She's not going to be AD 100
Woohoo!
someday.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Aw,
All right.
thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you so
much.
much. I loved this. And we'll make sure everyone can know where to follow you and,
Yeah.
see all of the wonderful things you're doing. So, and
Yeah.
Yay, yay. All right, thank you. This episode is brought to you by Curry & Company. Designers, you know the moment. You walk into the room and the lighting stops you in your tracks. Chances are it might be Curry. Curry & Company has built its reputation on pieces that feel sculptural, collected, and timeless, from hand-finished chandeliers to statement lamps, furniture, and accessories. Their collection is top-notch. If you haven't explored their newest introductions, take a look. Visit curryandcompany.com,